Nobody likes to terminate an employee, and no one likes to be terminated in return. It's just one of those things in the business world that happens and isn't really fun for anyone. Really, the only consolation you could receive is, at the very least, knowing the reason why you were terminated. Interestingly enough, however, employers technically don't have to tell you why they terminated you. In fact, in most cases, you can be terminated at any time for whatever reason. Now you may be asking yourself, why? What did I do? Well, the answer to that question lies in the understanding of at-will employment. So, in this video, we'll be going over what at-will employment is and what being an at-will employee means for you. Let's get into it. 61 years ago, that's actually 71 years ago, for those of you counting at home, a gentleman named L. Payne sued Western Atlantic Railroad Company for prohibiting their employees from doing business with him, something he believed was done with a malicious intent. The court, however, did not see it this way. They ruled that the railroad company acted within its rights. A portion of Section 518 of the judgment reads, "And all men must be left, without interference, to buy and sell where they please, and to discharge or retain employees at will for good cause or for no cause, or even for bad cause, without thereby being guilty of an unlawful act per se." The phrase discharge or retain employees at will is what has brought us to where we are today with at-will employment. This ruling is what created what is often referred to as the doctrine of at-will employment. Generally speaking, any employer in the U.S. operates under the at-will employment doctrine. There isn't any set policy or legislation that defines employment as being at will, just the aforementioned court decision. Typically, though, an employee handbook will outline the at-will relationship. Some employers will have employees sign a contract acknowledging that they're aware of the at-will employment structure. So then, what does it mean to be an at-will employee? Essentially, you or your employer can terminate your employment at any time for any reason. Of course, there are some exceptions and laws that make this slightly more complicated. When it comes to the exceptions, there are three big ones: contracted employees, or employees working for a specific duration or with some sort of employment agreement; covenant of good faith, or your employer has implied they will not terminate you without good cause; and employees with a collective bargaining agreement. Legislation that affects the at-will employment model mainly has to do with termination that would violate the Civil Rights Act, or retaliation for things like requesting accommodations as allowed by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Retaliation can also apply to termination related to reporting possible sexual harassment, resisting or protecting yourself from someone else's sexual advances, or asking about salary information from one of your coworkers. Some states, however, do have laws that directly impact the at-will model. These laws are mainly there to codify exceptions like employees fulfilling their public duty, i.e. jury duty, a covenant of good faith, or a contract exception. So that's a general overview of at-will employment. Now, we have to get back to begging our boss not to fire us, but be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to stay up to date on everything employment related.